What's good, everybody? It's Maymoney back again for another video. This time we're talking about The Walking Dead Season 7 as a whole because, yes, I think it's very appropriate that we do this. Season 7 of The Walking Dead, I guess, is kind of like has a polarized fan base. People think have different thoughts about it. And I think it's necessary for me to share my thoughts about what I thought about Season 7 of The Walking Dead, so we can go right on ahead and do that. So far, what do I have for you today? A bit of whiskey and a Track 7 IPA. So Track 7's in Sacramento, California. I haven't had their IPA, so we're going to go ahead and give it a try right now. I fucks with it. So yes, I think we'll be happy with that. And excuse me, I have a bit of a cold, so I'll probably be pausing it like right now, because I don't want to be sniffling and coughing on this video too much. But anyway, let's get right into it. So overall, I had mixed feelings about this season until the very, very end of it. And I'll explain that in a little bit. But like, this season had, waiting episode by episode for everything to happen kind of frustrated me a little bit. And I can get why some people weren't huge fans of this season because of that. But after everything kind of closed out and like the book kind of closed on Season 7, I really actually enjoyed it. And I liked the story that they told to us. They did that. I think they did it on purpose for like a reason. So, and we'll explain why I think their reasoning for it was. And I'm trying to stay as still as possible because my camera gets the best lighting like if I'm right here and I don't move. So if I'm like super stiff for this video, that's because it's like the brightest right now. But anyway, so I think overall I really liked getting to know Negan and like more about the Saviors because, they were just kind of like this mysterious entity all through Season 6 when we had our encounters with them, when Rick and them had their encounters. So we got to like flesh out this Negan character. I guess it's just gonna keep going like that. Sorry, the lighting is really weird in my room today. Oh well. But yeah, so we got to see more about Negan's compound because now he's like a character that Rick knows. Like, he knows who Negan is. He knows what he's about. And we got to learn more and more about who he was. And that, I think, is a huge step for Rick to do because, he didn't know who this guy was. They definitely underestimated him at the end of Season 6, in the beginning of Season 7. But now that we've been getting to know him, I think we'll be able to have a good, like, strong war in Season 8. 1 second. So, yeah. I guess the lighting's, it's really bothering me, but fuck it, whatever. Just get over it. So yeah, and the pacing was pretty interesting, but now that everything wrapped up, it made a lot of sense as why they did it, and I will flesh that out, that thought out more as we get in. But overall, I liked this season. I thought that there were a lot of great moments in it. Some of my favorite episodes were Heart Still Beating. That was the mid-season finale when like Spencer and Olivia and like Eugene got taken. I liked that. And they all like came back together and were like, fuck it, we have to fight. And we got that reunion with Daryl and Rick. I loved that. And pretty much everybody. I liked the cell with Daryl and holed up in Negan's compound. I liked that episode because, I think Daryl got a lot of interesting screen time, or Norman Reedus did. And his character really took a whole, like, it's like his whole character was stripped down and like kind of built back up and to somebody new. So I'm really interested to see Season 8 Daryl. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff with him. The First Day of the Rest of Your Life, that is the season finale. I really liked that one. I think that might have been one of my favorite episodes of the show. It might be. I'll have to think about that a little bit more. But I really, really liked that episode a lot. I think it just the way that it tied up the season in this nice bow, and it made me just feel a lot better about the way that they paced the season and everything. So I really liked that. Something They Need. I think that was the episode where Glenn and Maggie and Daryl kind of talked about what happened with Glenn and like Daryl's guilt. I think that's the one also where Rosita and Sasha talked about Abraham and their beef over Abraham. I liked that one as well. That like scene, like there were so many great moments in this season. I can't think of them all, but there were a lot of really good moments. We got a lot of good Carl moments this season too, like where Carl's really starting to step up. So I think season 8 Carl is going to be very, very interesting to see his development. He's starting to grow up. You know, he was taking shots and stuff, so and he's really turning into an interesting character, I think. I think my least favorite ones were like Hostiles and Calamities. That was the Eugene-centric episode. I mean, there was some interesting stuff in it. And I think Eugene's character is super interesting, but that episode didn't quite do it for me. Service, that episode where Negan was just walking around taking all their shit, took their mattresses and everything. That episode was alright, now that I look, in hindsight, now that I look back. The Tara episode I actually kind of liked. Just because the Oceanside women, I think that we're still going to see a lot with them. We'll talk about that in predictions. But yeah, there are a lot of great moments. And I think I may have felt differently while the season was going. But now that it's over, I like the season a lot better. Because it's like, they kind of did it in like, it's kind of like reading a series of novels. I don't know if you guys read, anybody reads on here that's watching this, but like I love to read, and so like a good series kind of does that where, you know, like one book kind of like you don't really like it, and you don't really like what's going on with your characters because of, you know, they're probably having difficulty doing this or that. And I think this season 7 was just like a installment of a series of novels, and so I think it made a lot more sense when it finally ended. But let's get into a little bit of the meat of the season. It was a well-rounded story, like reading a book. That was in my notes. So let's talk about some of my favorite characters. I think my favorite character this season has to be Daryl, because of his like guilt over what happened with Glenn. I mean, he was definitely feeling guilty about his actions kind of causing what happened, but then he got to really like talk with Maggie, and I loved that moment, and I loved it so much, where he got to talk with Maggie and like kind of let that off of his chest, because he really felt guilty and felt bad and sad, and he loved Glenn, and like that whole thing just was really weighing on him, and that was hard to see, like him beating himself over that, and especially like when he was in the cell, he was still beating himself up so bad over what happened, and that's why he couldn't say I'm Negan to when Dwight was talking to him. He couldn't say that because, you know, he couldn't do like Eugene and just get a nice room and all this stuff after what he felt like he caused. So he was kind of like punishing himself in a way, and that's why he said, you know, I see why you're doing what you're doing, Dwight, but that's why I can't, because I'm doing it for somebody else. And that made sense a long time ago for me. But yeah, so his strength his strength was just so strong this season, like just holding up in that cell, being tortured, eating dog food sandwiches, mentally being tortured, mentally torturing himself with his guilt, beating himself up. And like even like his strength like for not telling Carol about like Glenn and Abraham, not telling her just because he could see that like she was also like being pretty broken in as well, and he didn't want to see Carol lose herself, especially the parts that he loves about her. His relationship with Dwight and Sherry, super interesting, and I think we're gonna get a lot more of that in season 8. I'm really interested to see what's up with Dwight and Daryl. Dwight is also another extremely interesting character, I think, now. Like, at first I hated him, but now, like, we've got so much character development with him that, like, I like him now, and I think he's going to be an interesting piece of the puzzle for season 8. And I think his character is very interesting because, you know, he's doing, like, what he's doing because of his wife and, like, his love for her and trying to protect her. And now he's like, oh, well, she's gone. Now I can actually get my revenge. Now I don't have to suck up to this guy to protect somebody else. Now I can actually start fighting back. And that's another thing we're going to get into, fighting back. And also, like, Daryl's, like, rage, like, when he fucked up Fat Joey and, like, escaped. And he's just ready to really start fucking these saviors up. So, yes, I think Daryl's my favorite character of the season. A couple of, like, side characters that I really liked. I really liked, like, what's going on with Maggie at the hilltop and Jesus. I really liked Richard and Carol and Morgan. I liked that whole thing there. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So, yeah, and the Kingdom. I really like the Kingdom. I like Ezekiel a lot. I really like Ezekiel. And I'm excited to see more of him in season 8 because we just got little splashes of Ezekiel in there. But, yeah. So this whole season, the reason why I think they did the pacing the way that they did, it's because I'm just saying this is what I think. I don't know if this is how they did it or not. But I think what they wanted us to do was mourn and, like, be traumatized and just go through the same emotions that the characters were going through at the same time. They didn't want us to rush through getting over Glenn and Abraham. They didn't want us to rush through that because the characters can't rush through that. And they wanted us to feel like we were being beaten down and we are being tortured and we're just, like, slowly waiting, you know, for something to pop off. And, like, we're just grieving and mourning with them. Because that whole process is like, takes guilt, you know, trauma, rage, denial, all those things, all these characters, all these different characters are all feeling. And they wanted us to feel that with them. That's why I think they did it the way that they did. Because the pacing, it makes so much more sense to think about the pacing when you add that in, when you, like, consider that. And they wanted us to feel the same emotions as the characters. They wanted us to feel, like, how Maggie feels. They wanted us to feel how Rick feels, you know, being broken and being in and then starting to really, like, gain back his, you know, confidence. They wanted to feel what Daryl felt in Rosita, what Rosita felt. A lot of Rosita, actually. And her character also made a lot more sense at the end of the season as well. Because, like, at first I was just confused about her attitude, but now it makes sense. And, like, we have, like, people like Rick and Rosita. Oh, Rick and, like, who else? Like, Ezekiel. Who else? Like, the people at the ocean side. There's a lot of people that didn't want to fight back, you know, that were just, like, scared and, like, thinking about other people and everything. And you can't fight back unless everybody's together. And everybody was all scattered over. And it takes time to bring all these different groups of people and all these people within certain groups together on the same page. And that's a realistic amount of time for that to happen. That's why the season was the way that it was. Then we have, like, people like Richard, Michonne, Carl, and Rosita and Sasha who are like, I'm ready to fight. Like, it's time to fight back and trying to kind of do their own rogue mission or whatever. Cheers. You know, so I think, and those are the people that wanted to fight back, wanted to do something right off tops, but they can't because not everybody's on the same page. So it's just like we have people that were scared and are trying to protect their people, and then we have people that are, like, ready to die and fight to try to kill this man. So it just takes so much time to convince, like, the Kingdom, the Ocean Side, the Hilltop, Rick's group, everybody together, because if they aren't all together, like we see, the Saviors are just going to overpower them and just fuck them up, pretty much, essentially. And so, yeah, so that is another thing that takes time, and that's why the pacing was the way it was, because that takes time. It wouldn't make no sense for the whole, like, them to start fighting and going to war right after, you know, like, oh, hey, Ezekiel, come fight with us to fight these saviors. And he's just like, sure, yes, Rick, person I don't know, let's go, and I'm gonna bring my tiger, and I'm gonna get everybody that I love and care about all shot up and shit for this person I don't know. No, that's not realistic. That wouldn't make no fucking sense. It makes sense that they did it the way they did. Otherwise, it would have just been like, oh, this is just cheap. Like, everything that happened with Glenn and Abraham, and all the deaths that they've had and all the people that they've lost so far within the kingdom and with everybody, all the groups, like, it would have just made all that shit cheap. It just would have cheapened the fuck out of it. And, like, yeah, the pacing, it would have been action packed and all that, but it would have just made the show cheap, the story cheap. And, if that's what you want, then go watch some cheap show, but The Walking Dead ain't about that life. So, and they're gonna get their money either way. So all the complaining and bitching, I mean, fuck it. Like, go watch something else, So, and let's talk a little bit about Negan's compound and the Saviors. So we got to learn more about his people. We see that there's some hardcore Saviors like Simon and like all his other lackeys and people. And then we see that there's like some in the middle, like that the guy that would do the kingdom drop-offs. Like, he just seems very partial, like just doing his job, getting paid and going home kind of dude. There's some hardcore Saviors that are about that because they're just fucked up people, rapists, like that one dude, David. And then we have like Saviors that really aren't about that life, but they're just like surviving, pretty much imprisoned, but instead of being like an extorted group, they're in the Savior's compound. So I mean, we got to see that Negan's compound, even though he's this big bad and everything, it's not as stable as he thinks it is. And we see, like, once he meets Rick, even before he meets Rick, his compound is slowly unhinging. But once he does finally meet Rick's group, we see that his it's slowly starting to unhinge, and his control over everybody is starting to like fall apart slowly and slowly. He doesn't have as much control as he had before he met Rick's group, which is fucked up now, especially because by the end of the season, all of his groups that he was extorting from on the outside are fucking fighting against him. The Kingdom, the Hilltop, he can't extort from them anymore because they're ready to start blasting motherfuckers. They're fighting now. So, he can kill them all, but he's not going to have anybody extort from now. So his whole kind of thing is over. And now he's being forced to fight. He has no choice. So it's kind of like, how is Negan going to feel in season 8 about this? Like, I want to see him talking to somebody, talking to Simon or something about, like, fuck, this Rick motherfucker done got all of my crew that I was extorting from against me now. And now I'm being forced to fucking fight these motherfuckers. Like, I want to see him kind of be shook because he's this leader and he can't really show that, but I want to see a more personal like scene with him where he's shook because like when Rick at the end of the thing when he was about to kill Lucille Carl, Rick was like, I'm gonna kill you. Like from the beginning with that first episode that I really don't like thinking about because every time I watch something that has to do with it, it's just like, ugh, I hate it. I love the episode, but at the same time, I really didn't because it just makes me really sad because I miss Glenn and I miss Abraham so much. And it's just like really hurts me to see that happen, especially now later on. It just makes me feel how shitty I felt at the beginning. And I want to move on from that. You know what I mean? So I don't really like rewatching that episode too much. But, yeah, I just kind of want to see more of Negan kind of being like, fuck, these motherfuckers got me fucked up. It's time to, fight back, yada, yada, yada. And I just kind of want to see his thought process. And then we have Eugene, who's also on the other side, because we know Dwight is on Rick's side now. We have that moment with Eugene. Did I put this in my notes? Oh, I guess we can do this later on. We'll talk about this later. But Eugene is also a very interesting character. He's in a very interesting position in the story. I'm super interested to see how that plays out. Because so far he's Negan as a survival standpoint. But I don't know. Negan has that seed of doubt in his head about Eugene, especially with the whole Sasha situation. So we're just going to have to see how it plays out. I don't see Eugene just going full on Negan because Abraham was like his best fucking friend, and he's still like, so say none of that happened, say Carl got you sealed, Eugene would still have to sit there and watch Carl get Lucille. Either way, Negan plays mind games like that. He would always bring Eugene to come watch him fuck up and Lucille 2 or 3 or 4 Alexandrians. He would always bring him just to keep him in his place, like just to reinforce that, and make him watch that, and just to keep him trained and keep him under his thumb. So it's like, you're on, no matter whose side you're on, people, you know, like, are you just gonna, you're just gonna sit there. Blech. Sorry, you guys. Eugene is gonna have to sit there and watch people get Lucille'd either way. Don't matter what the fuck side he's on. So I really don't see him going full Negan. You know, we haven't seen it play out. It hasn't been enough time. But there's gonna be something going on with Eugene that is gonna turn him back onto Rick's side, even though he's in Negan's compound. Especially with Dwight being there. But we'll get into that in a second. But I'm really glad that there's a couple season regulars for season 8. Simon, or the character, or Stephen Ogg. I really like that actor because of Grand Theft Auto, and I like the actor, and like I like the character, and I like the way he plays him. So I'm excited to see more of him. And yeah. So I just liked how season 7, the finale, everything, like, just closed the book on Glenn and Abraham's chapter, and like that whole traumatic experience. It just like kind of tied it right up, and now we can move on into like actually going to war. And you know, that was kind of just like gearing up for war. You can't just go and just start guns a-blazing like all of a sudden with no plan. And that's what the whole season was about. It was all about everybody coming together, everybody gaining their courage, and everybody being like, we're gonna fucking fight. And that's good. So predictions and questions for season 8. We're gonna get into this because there's a lot of loose ends that I mentioned before that I didn't really tie in. So, number 1, my question, I guess, is Eugene's addition to the story for season 8. He's gonna have to start making bullets at some point. They're going to war. Negan's going to war. He gonna need some bullets. Eugene's a bullet maker. Will he be making bullets to fucking mow down his friends? I know I've asked this question like a hell of a lot of times, but that's still a question that I am not convinced that he will be able to do. He's not going to be able to 100% do that. Just to like make all these bullets to kill his friends. Yeah, he's comfortable living in Negan's compound, but like Eugene is just not no fucking like straight up evil dude like that. You saw with Sasha, you know, Sasha said something to him before she died that I think is going to be really relevant later on with him and his character. It was something like, you know, I haven't given up on you, and it's not too late for you, Eugene, to change or to step up. So I think that's going to definitely come back later, and I don't think that Eugene's just going to be down to fucking make perfect bullets to kill all of his friends and family. Like, really? Like, nah. And another thing I think is going to be interesting, there was that moment in Hostiles and Calamities right at the end where Eugene goes like, we are Negan, and then Dwight is just like, yeah. Like, why would they put that in there? I think that that's going to come back to later as well, where because Dwight knows that Eugene is from Alexandria, and Dwight is trying to fight back. Maybe, you know, they'll come together. Maybe Dwight will talk to Eugene and be like, hey, like, dude, I'm on their other side. I'm on their side. I'm helping them out. I've talked with them already. I already have an in. I already have a plan. Da 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 da. You want to get in on this? Like, they haven't had a chance to communicate this yet. Eugene is just survival mode at this point. But if Dwight were to come to him and be like, hey, I've talked to Rick. I've talked to your people. I've talked to your family and everybody. They, you know, we can do something. We can start fighting back. I think that that's what's going to happen in season 8. We just haven't seen it yet. Yeah, Eugene's Negan for now, but there's a lot that we just have not seen that's going to play out with him. He's not all Negan. And I'm staying on that side. I don't care how many people want to yell at me and think I'm wrong. That's just what I think, and I'm sticking with it. Will Oceanside join the fray? Now, that's an interesting thing. I don't think that, I think they will, or at least some of them will. Maybe that Natasha bitch will die or something, and then Cindy will take over or whatever, and then they gonna start fighting. Because some of them did want to fight. They could at least use some of them on their side, and or maybe something will happen with them where they'll just have to like be forced to. They don't have any weapons, and honestly, I don't really think that what Rick did was all wrong. Like, I don't really think it was all wrong for them to do that. It's kind of fucked up. Yeah, he took all their shit, but he gave them a choice. He said, hey, you can come fight with us. Like, come fight. They took all, they killed all your men and women. Why not? Like, you have a reason to. They said no. All right, well, we taking your shit because we're going to go fight. And if y'all, like, you don't really need the guns. Y'all just sitting here posted anyway. Like, and if they do want to come back, I'm sure Rick will welcome them with open arms. So I think they're not quite done yet. How will the Junkyard crew tie in? Because that's going to be very interesting. Is Rick just going to be like, all right, we're going to go fucking kill all of them, out for blood, we're killing all of you, we're taking all your shit, and that's it, we're not making any more deals? Or will they eventually, or join Rick? Because Jadis is going to be a season regular in season 8. So I don't know how they're going to tie that in. I don't see Rick just being like, oh yeah, like now I trust. No. So like, how regular is she going to be? Is he going to kill all her people and then just be like, oh, now you can come with us? I don't know. I have no clue. Let me know what you guys think about the whole Jadis becoming a regular in season 8 and how their story is going to tie in, because I have no clue. Negan being forced to go to war. How is he feeling about his decision making so far? He definitely seemed very pissed about Rick's defiance and his newfound confidence. Like, but and it's like he pushed Rick to this point. He really did. He pushed, like, Rick is kind of like a crazy motherfucker in a lot of different ways, and Negan kept pushing them buttons, and now he has scary Rick back, and he's growing back his fucking beard, and Rick is gonna be scary as fuck. And now you're fucking with somebody that's really like a formidable opponent, like, and that's nobody's fault but his. So now look what you did. Now you got crazy Rick, throat biting motherfucking Rick. There you go. That's what you did, Negan. And Maggie and her baby, what's up with that? How is that gonna play out in season 8? That's going to be very important. Negan saw that she was alive and all that, and yeah, and like, how is the war going to play out? Negan has to fight his people that he's been extorting from now, so it should be very interesting. So yes, that's all I have to say about season 7 of The Walking Dead. I really enjoyed it, especially now that it's over. I'll probably watch it again before season 8 comes back later on down the line. Right now, I'm just sticking with the 100 until that's over. So yeah, if you guys watch the 100, which I know a lot of you do, I will see you on April 26th for the return of the 100 after its hiatus. I can't wait, because you know who I miss? Bellamy. I miss Bellamy. So yeah, anyway. And yeah, so far, I guess what I'm doing now that Walking Dead is over, I am watching Berserk. I'm just binge watching that fucking creepy show. Because I watched season 1, and then I think it took like fucking hella years for them to come out with season 2. So I'm just watching that. I'm watching Attack on Titan. And I should be back to work, bartending again. So yeah, anyway, so good to hang out with you guys during season 7 of The Walking Dead. I really, really appreciate all the love and all the fucking homies that I've been just talking with every week. And I'm sad that it's over, but we will be back on the Walking Dead train in October, sometime near my birthday. So hopefully if it's close to my birthday, I can do like a birthday thing and a Walking Dead thing. That would be really fun. I did that 2 years ago for season 6. So yeah, I'm gonna miss you guys and talking about Walking Dead. I might do a couple other little splashes of videos talking about it between here and season 8. But until then, thank you all so much. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought about season 7. Let me know what you think what's going to happen in season 8. We can still talk about it. And yeah, so cheers, you guys. The final cheers of season 7, closing the book on our beloved characters. I guess I'll just finish this. And yes, so thank you guys so much for supporting me in my first reaction video season. It's been pretty interesting. It's been a wild ride. And I can't wait to actually know the ropes in a new season of The Walking Dead. And probably will be 10 times better at this whole video editing bullshit and all that craziness and keeping up with my channel. And so yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm gonna miss you, but keep an eye out for me. I'll still be here doing videos. So yeah, peace. Check you out later.